Yeah, hello. All right. It's good to be here. Actually, a real honor to be here. The whole reason I'm doing most of the things I'm doing today is actually because it all started when I read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin in 2002. I had an internet company at the time. I was living in Canada. I started out of my house in 1993. I actually quit my job at a bank to start it when the internet first came out, and everyone said I was crazy. And this is what I've kind of found out through my whole life. Whenever anyone tells you you're crazy, that's a good sign. When they tell you not to do something, you should probably do it, because most of those people live in the matrix. That's something we have to kind of realize and recognize. But I did. I quit, even though one old lady at the bank told me, "But you get free dental, and you have a job for life at the bank." And I looked at her. I said, "That sounds like the worst thing that I would ever want is a job for life at the bank." And like I said, she's like, "But the free dental." I've added up the amount of money I've spent on my teeth in the last 30 years or 20 years since then. I think it's $150. I get my teeth cleaned every now and then in Thailand or Mexico, and that's basically it. I don't drink Coca-Cola all day. They're fine. But I started this company out of my house, and it grew up to be the largest financial website in Canada called Stockhouse.com. And it still is to this day. And at the peak, it was worth $240 million in the year 2000. I had 250 employees in 8 countries across the world. And I was in Hong Kong, and they were just about to, I was getting a check from the South China Morning Post for $5 million to invest in our company right before we were going to go do a NASDAQ IPO. And right that morning, when I went to go have the press conference and get the check from the South China Morning Post, I turned on CNBC, and they said, "That's it, the tech bubble has just burst, Amazon's down 50%, everything." And I was like, "Oh my God, what just happened?" And I'm like, "Please." And I went to the press conference, I'm like, "Please give me the check." And he gave it to me. I'm like, "Cash this immediately." and right after that, it was just over. Bear Stearns, who isn't even around anymore,
Yeah, man. What up, what up, what up, what up, bro? About to send, I gotta send a message real quick. What the fuck? What the fuck? Yo, she got Pikachu in the pussy. You see that? That's a little Pikachu doll. Boy, Pikachu about to shoot a lightning bolt up in that damn thing, boy. That's the first thing that's on. Look, that's the top. That's the very top of my Instagram. Pikachu in the pussy. You headed to work? Damn, bro. You's a hard working motherfucker, bro. Well, you work 7, 8 days a week. Some motherfucker work 9 days a week. how you work 11 days a week? Some motherfucker work 42 days a month. I only work 42 days out the month. God damn. That's the only thing I ever hear you say. I'm at work. I'm going to work. I just got off work. That fucking don't say shit else. I'm watching that work. Like, god damn, nigga. I gotta come. Y'all need some help where you work at, man. Y'all need more employees so you can take some time off from that motherfucker. Good gravy.
They said, that's it, the tech bubble has just burst, Amazon's down.
So I can't afford my own time. Man, you gotta start selling drugs. You can prostitute yourself out or something, but god damn, they other ways to make money, bro. This motherfucker be at work 27 hours a day. I had to pull a double. A double? Yeah. I was there for 27 hours. God damn. What you doing? Need to make some more bread. God damn, shit. We need to look into the coke business. At least invest in some weed stocks or something. I can't have you working yourself to death, bro. This motherfucker about to work himself to the grave. Nigga don't never say, oh, I ain't never hear this motherfucker say, oh, it's my day off. That motherfucker don't never say it's my day off. Good gravy.
Everything. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And I'm like, please. And I went to the press conference, I'm like, please give me the check. And he gave it to me, I'm like, cash this immediately. And right after that, it was just over. Bear Stearns, who isn't even around anymore, stopped answering my calls. Everyone who wanted to take us public on the NASDAQ, all of a sudden, was just gone. And I was just sitting there going, what do we do now? And we ended up having to wrap up the entire company all the way down to about 8 employees from 250. My partner tried to commit suicide, tried to kill himself, jumping out of the 8th story of his apartment building. He survived.
Yo, how you survive an 8-story fall? You can't even kill yourself right, motherfucker. You know you a failure. This nigga jump out of 8-story building and survive. Now you just in a wheelchair. If you're trying to do a pussy ass move like take your own life. My company just went under. Koosh. Fuck, I'm still alive. I'm in a wheelchair. They say he jump out an 8-story window.
it was actually, I ended up selling the company, and I was like, what happened? And I went to MBAs. All these people went to school, real smart people who go to school, college, waste of time. But
A waste of time. You heard that?
I'd say to them, what happened? How do I have this company? It's worth nothing.
Oh.
Then it's worth $250 million.
I got to get my vegetables in. Just got to start out with the greenery. I wasn't sure if I didn't want the water or if I want the water. Sometimes not having the water, it wakes you up a little bit stronger because you get that harshness right here. It's like sipping a fine wine, but different. That water, I don't know. I love the goddamn bubbler, bro. Another bad creation. Y'all motherfuckers be up too early for me, bro. The only reason I get up this early, I be trying to beat y'all motherfuckers up. Y'all making it hard on the brother. I gotta start streaming at 6:30. Fuck that. I'll be here at 6:30, bright and early, just like the orange juice. Gotta have that water. There's something about that water. It changes the whole aroma, the fragrance, the flavors. It's a purification process. You know what I'm saying? It's so smooth where I can just, But you want that fucking punch, like, and do it without the water. That shit'll hit you in your fucking chest hard as fuck. Some vegetables, some H2O. These goddamn puppies. This bitch done ate my newspaper. The one piss in the corner like I ain't gonna find it in the corner, bitch. You ain't fooling nobody. Taking all y'all outside right now. Y'all ain't come back in for an hour. It's something about a puppy, man. But you fall in love with them little motherfuckers, man. Just a little cute ass dog, man. Man's best friend, yo, since goddamn the primordial age, motherfuckers goddamn just found a little stray wolf cub. Like, you know what? I could eat this motherfucker, but for some reason I feel like feeding it instead of eating it. Then the wolf cub grow up. Now you got a loyal protector. Nobody don't come around your campfire because you got a fucking wolf. And the wolf love you because you feed it. And that bond been there for goddamn 20,000 years, man. Motherfuckers been doing this shit, domesticating them motherfuckers. Now we got everything from a goddamn a goddamn Boston Terrier to a goddamn English Bulldog. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker done bred these shits all kind of ways. Not 6. Oh, y'all got to go to the highest bidder. Who want one? You? The brown one? The one with the spots? Take that motherfucker. Who next? I got 5 more of these little bitches. I'm running around. All fucking day. Sit your little ass down. But they so cute though. Last dog I had was fucking years ago. About 9 years ago, 10 years ago. It was a house dog. I had it. The mother had a litter and got hit by a car before she even finished weaning the litter. Like, when I got the puppy, motherfucker couldn't even open his eyes. Eyes wasn't even open yet. Like, it was only like a week old. It was fucked up. And there was this old lady who had the dog. She ain't even, and there was a bunch of mutts. She ain't know her dog got pregnant. You know what I'm saying? So the old lady just, figured out her dog had a litter. The dog got fucking hit by a car, died. Now she got a week old litter of fucking like 9 or 10 pups. A bunch of fucking mutts. So goddamn, she was just giving them shits away. For some reason, my girlfriend at the time brought one of them bitches home. I'm like, what the fuck you doing with this little ass, ugly ass dog? This dog eyes ain't even, man, the dog gonna fucking die. This shit ain't even around his mama, but you ain't supposed to take a dog from his mama that early like that. This little puppy gonna die, bro. And that motherfucker goddamn, man, my girl done got the milk and shit and then started bottle feeding this goddamn puppy like it been a damn baby. I said, you fucking crazy, bro. Bottle fed this damn puppy for about 2 months. About two months almost. You know, a couple weeks that motherfucker opened his eyes, started running around and shit. The motherfucker grew healthy too. And never spent one day outside, like never ever slept outside. Never, not one time. You know what I'm saying? She was a house dog from day one. I seen she was gonna be healthy and make it through. Shit, I fell in love with that little dog. It was a goddamn Labrador Bulldog mix. The smartest fucking dog. I don't know, just because she was around humans from like the time she was aware of anything, she probably thought she was more human than animal. But that motherfucker was smart as shit, bruh. God damn, that been a goddamn smart ass dog. Like the bitch understood English. Swear to God, go in the kitchen, get my shoes. Bitch, go in to get my damn shoes. I had a nice ass, big ass. She ain't grow real big. Like I say, she was a Labrador Bulldog, so she probably got about, a lab. Them chocolate labs, them brown labs, them motherfuckers be like 110 pounds. Them labs some big ass dogs, but she ain't get big, yo. She was like 50 pounds, maybe 60 pounds. But she had her kennel, and I had her a chair that was like a nice chair just for her, yo. Go in your room. I tell her go in the room, she'll go in the kennel. You know what I'm saying? She want to come in the living room and sit around everybody. She's sitting up, like, if she get too aggravating, sit around people, like, yo, go sit in your chair. She'll go sit on her own chair. She got to go to the bathroom. She'll come. I swear, it's like, she'll talk to you, man. She'll come up. She'll fucking put a paw on your leg or some shit and look at you. And then go walk and sit by the front door. Like, look, I need to go outside. It was fucking crazy. And then, like, I can just leave her outside. She wouldn't leave the yard. She'd handle her little business, come back and literally knock on the fucking door. You know what I'm saying? She'd like pat her paws on the fucking screen door, like, yo, let me back in, nigga. Yo, it's smart. I swear, yo, I ain't never had to bottle feed that bitch, bro, for 2 months. I ain't never had a dog that smart, man. Every fucking command I taught her, yo, she knew that shit. Sit, stay. Like, I've never been able to teach another dog to fucking stay. No, like, because I would walk her, yo, and like, just tell her, like, yo, stay right there. And I did the little treats and shit like that, the trainer, to get her good. She do a command, give her a treat. Do a command, give her a treat. You know what I'm saying? Until she'll do it without her, getting a treat for it. I could walk her to the store with no leash. Wouldn't have to put a leash on her. She understood heel. Like, you stay on my fucking heel. If I stop, you stop. If I walk, you walk. You know what I'm saying? I was surprised I was able to train her to do all that shit my damn self, but it seemed like it wasn't hard. Like, like a couple of treats, like a couple of weeks, like with one fucking command, I do that shit for like a week or two, and she had that shit, yo. That shit was weird as fuck. I'm telling you, yo, smart ass fucking dog, yo. Yo. Yeah, and it was weird, like, I had one homie. She only didn't like one motherfucker, yo. That shit was the weirdest fucking thing, yo. And when you listen to my music, it's the cat I used to rap with. Like, this cat was at my house all the fucking time. All the time. I don't know if it was his odor, his cologne, or his soap he used, or something about that motherfucker, man. My dog ain't like his ass, yo. She ain't never really bite or nip at him or nothing, but she'll know when this motherfucker was walking to the door, coming in the house, she'll bark at him. Just look at her. I'm like, go in your damn room. She go in her room, like, that the only motherfucker she did that shit to, yo. Like, he's like, why she do that? I'm like, I don't fucking know, bro. It's something about you, man. That dog don't fucking get along with you. Anybody else shit run up to you, wagging her tail, like, ooh, pet me. Ooh, hey, how you doing? This a new person? I got a new friend. Ooh, pet me. This motherfucker come around. Like, nah, nigga, who the fuck is you? Like, every time, like, he was there a lot. He came to the crib a lot. And she never gave up on his ass, yo. Never gave this motherfucker a pass. Was like, yo, like, what you doing? Chilling? I'm about to come through. Lil' home about to come through. Yo, Diamond, go in your room. I just already sitting in the room. If he say he's coming to the crib, like, man, go in your room. Cause you already about to fuck with this nigga, yo. And then we be joking sometimes and shit. Motherfucker say some shit like, nigga, yo fucking Skeletor looking ass. Like, me? Alright, bro, you want me to open my cage? I open the cage right now, cause you know she don't fucking like you. Nah, do that, don't do that. Alright, alright, then. Yo, it's fucking hot as shit in here. I got the AC on, I still feel fucking hot. I'm in this bitch sweating, yo. My underarms feeling slick as shit. Like, what the fuck? This room got these 2 windows, man. And you can see the light, how bright the light coming in here, man. The fucking sun, yo, that's why I gotta keep the fucking blinds closed. And I gotta get some darker fucking curtains or something, but like, yo, this shit be hot. That sun be beaming in here like all fucking day. It's just, for some reason, yo, like this one room in the house is like the hottest fucking room. Like, it don't matter what, yo. Fuck. And this bitch glowing. You know how you get that little slick feeling? Like, what the fuck? Oh, just sliding. Oh, shit. The fuck started perspire. Yeah, shit feeling slick as shit. I went to the gym, took a shower, come in here, and still got down sweating. Like, what the fuck? Alright, so this is my personal piece. This is a commission that I was working on, if you guys remember this piece. So it's mostly finished. I looked at it real close, and there's some shit I don't fucking like. I don't know how I bumped it right there, but I want to square that off. And I'm just going to add a little bit of paint right here. Just a little bit. I know nobody else won't see it. But I can see that motherfucker, man. I need a little bit of paint, like, just right there. And then when it dries completely, when the background dries, we're going to write I don't know. I might even do it coming like this and have like a really nice calligraphy written poem or something. Or I could even like start it here and then make like the spiral writing or something. I don't know. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna put like a graphics on it, and because it is a anniversary gift, and this is their wedding day, so I just want like some really loving, memorable words, you know, that really speaks to the heart. Something really simple and easy to memorize. So when you look at it, or when somebody else sees it for the first time and they see the beautiful image, and then they read the little caption along with it, it's just like, ah, that's so sweet, you know. But yeah, yo, everybody says that, and then somebody says, "Is that Rihanna?" And it's like, nah. It's my homeboy is a photographer, and he works with this model a good bit, and she's just like a fine ass chick, you know. Like she's just fine as hell. She is as fine as Whitley. She is as fine as Rihanna. It's like, yo, you fine as hell, girl. You is beautiful. Oh, she got no fat lips, boy. No fat lips. People pay to get lips like that. Some motherfuckers pay good money for a set of lips like that. You know what I'm saying? That old creamy ass motherfucking caramel color skin. Damn. Yo, my photographer friend, I was like, yo, homie, I can paint one of them pictures. He was like, yeah, which one? I was like, this one right here. He was like, sure, go ahead. Damn, well, you got a fine ass model right there. This is almost dry. Not really. Damn. That shit came right up. Whoa, that shit is wet as hell still. Like, what the hell? I barely even touched that. Alright, yeah, that's gonna be a few more days before it dries. But I do want to put some paint right there. And then when it dries, like I said, I'm gonna write something on that. Then let that dry. And then it'll be done. So it's let's see. It's 98% complete right now. It's got that little bit left to do. And then it'll be all the way done. It's a different world. Different and where you come from. Yes, it is now. 'Cause here's a chance to make it. I gotta hear that theme song now, yo. How long have they been together? That is a good question. I haven't asked them that. That is a good question. That is a good question. Yo, she fine as hell too. They're white people. Yo, and the movie or the TV show? Well, both of them. Both of them. The chick from the movie, yo, she plays a lot of good roles. I can't think of. I seen her in another movie before Dear White People, and I was like, yo, that's that chick. And she's a good actor. I think I watched like a partial piece of the TV show. I gotta grab a water, yo.
I know my parents love me, stand behind me, come one day. I know now that I'm ready, because I finally heard them say it's a different world from where you come from.
Team Hearts.
Here's a chance to make it if we focus on our goal. If you dish it, we can take it. Just remember you've been told it's a different world where you come from. It's a different world from where you come from.
Ah. Good. What's up? I don't remember them switching. It says they had different theme songs for different seasons. Let me see what the fuck this one is. Play, motherfucker. Damn man, my internet be singing slow as shit right now. What? Paying good money for this shit, bro. Come on. This motherfucker will not buffer. Yo, Living Single was that shit, yo. We are living single in a 90s kind of world. I'm glad I got my. Keep your head up, what? Keep your head up, that's right. Something get tough, you gotta fight with my homegirl standing to my left and my right, true blue. We tight like glue, cause we are living single. Yo, that was my fucking shit, yo. Queen Latifah. What was the handyman name? That motherfucker was funny as shit, yo. Goddamn, what was the other shit too, yo? I ain't gonna lie, yo, I used to watch Girlfriends. Cause all the girls on that shit was pretty as fuck. Like the 90s girls shows, yo, they had the baddest fucking chicks on that shit, yo. Girlfriends, all them chicks on they was fine as hell. That's why I really just watched that shit. That's why I watched Living Single. All the bitches on they were fine as hell. All these fine ass women living in one house. Is you crazy? I gotta get up in that shit somehow. Overton. Overton, what his name? Wakefield Jones. Overton Wakefield Jones. Him and goddamn Kim. They had everything, yo. Like the pretty dark skinned chick, the light skinned chick, the thick chick, the athletic chick. It was like, oh my god. I wish I was their neighbors, bro. I'd be just like the other dude. I'd be over there all the fucking time too. Or the other shit, half and half, sister to sister. Yo, 90s was the shit for I don't know. I grew up on like some pretty cool TV shows, and I still remember my favorite cop drama, New York Undercover. Basically, was the black. Basically, you know what I'm saying? We had several shows that was just like I say, just like the other one, Girlfriends. That was mostly, it was like black chicks, and they had, you know, they homeboys was black and shit. It was like the black version of Friends. Yeah. Oh, Maxine Shaw. Ooh, boy. Boy. You had Martin, Fresh Prince. You know what I'm saying? Those shits was even who remember Rock? Used to watch that show Rock? The goddamn trash man. The trash collector. The sanitation worker is what he was. The shit like a fucking different world. I don't know. Everybody loved the Cosbys. I really wasn't a big ass fan of the Cosby Show. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, dude. But what was Cosby's son name? Fuck, I can't. His name was. Well, not the character, but in real life, the guy who played the Cosby's son. Damn, what's that dude's name? You know, he's the guy. He started the fucking the cartoon show, The Magic School Bus, the educational show for kids. Like that was his show, yo. The Magic School Bus. I said, but. That was the first sitcom in Germany? Wow. Oh, Lisa Bonet, goddamn, that's motherfucking Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz got a beautiful ass daughter, boy. Goddamn Zoe, oh my god, goddamn Zoe. If I ever meet you in person, I'll do like that one guy who tells him you're the most beautifulest woman I've ever seen. Now walk away from me. I'm just like Zoe, you too fine, girl. You gotta get away from me. You too beautiful. Yo, MTV Raps, you crazy. You crazy. The best shit was motherfucking Rap City, The Basement. Boy, get the fuck out of here. You think Yo MTV Raps was better? Well, it came out before. I can understand that. Yeah, she is kind of slim. That's the thing, man. Her face is beautiful. And that's like, what's the other chick back in the day? She was in, She did a couple movies with Eddie Murphy. Her name Thandie Newton or Candy Newton, Thandie Newton. Like I think she is beautiful. Bitch ain't got no body, yo. You bones. You bony as hell. Yeah, she pretty and yeah, Zoe like she the same way, beautiful, but you ain't got no body. Where your booty at? You ain't wanna buy one? I know you got that bread. You can buy a booty, girl. Yeah, you is pretty though. There's another girl. I'm watching this show called Queen Sugar, and they got one girl like that on there. Pretty as hell, no body. I'm talking about you can see all her ribs. She from the back. I mean, her shoulder blade just like pow. That should just be popping out. Like, God damn, girl, you ain't. I got some rice and some beans. Your pretty ass need a sandwich or something. Headbangers Ball? Nah. Alright, Shaman. Nah, I don't remember that shit. They had Joe Cleese, and then they had who came after Joe? Big Tigger.
City. Are we on the air? Rap City. Bring the noise.
Yo, motherfucking Rap City, son.
Rap City. Are we on the air?
Let's do it. Lisa Turtle from Saved by the Bell. You know who I had a crush on as a kid, yo? Topanga. From goddamn Boy Meets World. Yo, Topanga. Oh my god, I was in love with her little ass, yo.
Yeah, Backstreet the Basement, Big Tig, Ludacris, JC, DTB, Talk.
Ludacris' third album, still whooping they ass. Still travel overseas with over 10,000 cash. Enough money in the chain to keep a country fed. People ask why the skull is cause I like it. And they wonder if I'm good. Hell yeah, it's a great feeling. I got bones tall as the Empire State Building. What more could I want? I get it and waste it. Only thing left to take is Rap City in the basement. Snatch the furniture, or here's the plan. Kidnap Big Tigger and hold him for 10 grand. Tell BET if they want to see him again. Bring Freeze, Lathan, and a bottle of gin. So I could get right to it. The game, I just threw it. Why I keep going platinum, I don't know, I just do it. It's cause I ain't finished. It's cause I know the business. It's cause the stuff I is as purple as Grimace. From Mickey D's with cheese, I stay open. Y'all wonder why the ice cream machine's still broken. I'm too hot, plus I'm living the life. Only rapper that you know that got best of the booth twice. Jump back, I can't stand myself. Just bought a crib in Miami just to tan myself. What? What they want?
Yo. Now that's a real fucking freestyle. That ain't no written shit. This motherfucker just freestyle all that shit. Yo, you can tell the difference in between a real freestyle and some written shit that the motherfucker spit to a beat. Yo, motherfucking Luda was the man back in the day, yo. His name is super funny in my language. Oh damn.
Yeah, okay, Luda. There was one part of that freestyle I definitely wasn't feeling. Damn, my 10 grand, they better bring 10 million. It's Big Tigger putting it down on BT, holding it down with my cousin Luda DTP. Hey, I'ma do me, please do you. If I ain't on this next album, blame Shaka Zulu. It's Big Tigger off the top, blazing hot, cop the drop, so I can look hot in the summer. Come through funky drummer, never bummer when I'm rolling through. It's Big Tigger and I know your girl's swollen too. Looking at the icy chains, he said he got the skull on. He call it head, I call it brains. Yes, Tigger putting on down. I know you hate this. Open up my jacket, girls doing the Matrix. Because the ice is so flossy, it costs me nothing. Never. Big Tigger still clever, yes. Hey, hey, it's baby, tasty. Big Tigger coming on with DJ JC.
Yeah, real freestyles back in the day. I see T.I.
Yeah, DJ Vlad, Big Tig, T.I. Grand Hustles coming down, okay? Hey, alright, yes indeed, it be T.I. versus T.I.G. And if you look like you're 18, I got the CID. It's Big Tigger putting it down, the album Trap Music. Come around the block every day, we got to use it. Yes indeed, Big Tigger known for doing them bad. Putting it down with the DJ name Vlad. My man T.I. ATL representer. It's Big Tigger born in the month of December. Hold me down as I keep it going on and going back. It's Big Tigger and you know that I be flowing back. It's going on, hey, watch the man hustle. Putting it down with T.I. do it the grand hustle.
Oh, yeah. A-Town in here, pal. Westside Bankhead Zone 1, what it is, homie. You know I gotta put it down for all the dope boys and the trap star. Hey! Alright, hold up, man. Let me catch this right here. One time for the young blood, man. You know, we gotta do our thing, man. Grand hustle, pimp. PSC, Pimp Squad Click. Hey, Pimp, you better get your mind right. Head in and get...
What? Are you gonna buff it right on T.I. like that? You gonna buff a T.I.? Man, internet has no respect nowadays. You know what I'm saying? No respect at all. No fucking respect. Struggle is real, son.
Saving money on your next project with 11% off everything. This 3/4 horsepower Barracuda sub pump is $124.
Hello? Yeah. All right. Thanks. Third, Ludacris. don't seem like much, but that shit, I don't know, I just kept staring at this shit like, I can see through that shit right there. More of this shit now. You got me.
Young Dope.
fuck I didn't do this shit. I'm just seeing all this shit on here. Like, what the fuck? I say, I don't know if anybody else can actually see what I'm seeing, but I see this shit. I gotta make this shit like perfect. But she's gotta be perfect. I don't know, like for some reason I was seeing through that color. Like, so you guys know the canvas has several layers of paint, and like right around the rim I was seeing the previous layer too much, more than I wanted to. So I just added a little bit more of this magenta. What is that? This is radiant. Added some more radiant magenta right to the outlining of their clothing, just to kind of fill it in a little bit tighter. Actually, there was like 3 spots where the pink color kind of brushed too deep onto the back of the suit, so I put out some excuse me, got some black and just sharpened up those lines a little bit more. But yeah, this is nice. This is a nice painting. Yes, and they look so happy to be married. Yes, they're gonna have a nice life together and make many kids. You gotta have sex to make kids, you know. It's a very good painting. Very good, very good painting. I'm actually going to take a picture of it now. Take this photo. I didn't mean to do that shit. Alright, guys. I'm gonna start by working on this other painting. You see? Yeah. That's a good picture. Whoa, 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 whoa. That is nice. I'm liking this art. Ooh.
interesting, if we go to Tiruvannamalai in southern India, we find this sacred red hill. And the legend is that the ground near it is not at all touched by the four oceans that become agitated at the close of the Yuga. The Yuga is a world age, when the annihilation of all living beings takes place. All the future seeds are certainly deposited here. Brahmins who resort to the foot of that mountain are called by me after the deluge, and I make them study the Vedas. In other words, this is being typecast as a place of refuge from a global cataclysm, from the flood, where the wisdom of the past age will be passed forward to the future age. And the temple that stands on at the foot of the Red Hill today, Tiruvannamalai, is an intriguing place, and there are still sadhus who come there from all over India. But what's interesting is that in the Tiruvannamalai area, there are indeed submerged ruins underwater. Here at Pumpahar, for example, a gigantic U-shaped structure. And here at Mahabalipuram, where we find the famous rock-hewn temples of Mahabalipuram, Santa and I were told by Tamil fishermen that there was a city underwater. And we went to the Scientific Exploration Society in Britain and managed to put together an expedition to go and check out what the fishermen were telling us. As you can see, it was a very high-tech expedition. And off we went, and we dived in the bay off Mahabalipuram, and lo and behold, it turned out that what the fishermen were telling us was absolutely correct, and that there is indeed a city underwater, and that this city extends as much as 5 kilometers out from the shore. It became impossible for archaeology to deny it because that bay was emptied during the Boxing Day tsunami, and many people saw these ruins for themselves before the sea came rushing back in. If we continue along this longitude grid, we come to Angkor in Cambodia, which is exactly 72 degrees of longitude east of Giza. And there are 72 major temples at Angkor. I'm fully aware that these temples were built around 1150 AD, but I believe they're the latest incarnations of much earlier sacred sites on the location that we know as Angkor today. And here we see Angkor Wat itself. And by the way, Angkor...
I didn't realize how many mistakes I was making in English until I started.
Interesting lecture, which is about megalithic giants. We have earlier, I don't know if any of you know of Brian Forrester. He also was a speaker at Open Mind Conference. He covered elongated skulls, which also seem, after the DNA samples, to be another race on this earth. Maybe Hughes, he will convince us that the giants have been too. I find it a fascinating subject, maybe because I also feel like a giant sometimes. First I heard about this was actually an interview on Red Ice Radio with Richard Dewhurst, which was called When Giant Ruled America, which is also very interesting, which also covered this Smithsonian Institute cover-up about all these skeletons found many places all over the world, but especially in the middle of United States. But also other places that have been found, 4,000 skeletons in a burial place. So I must say, I think maybe if I was a little child in school and heard about this subject, I would really be happy about that teacher who told me about it. So maybe it's also because I think that it was a shame I didn't hear about this when I was younger, because if there have been giants 5 meters and 20 centimeters high, shoe size 3 times mine, which is large, it's fascinating. So I really look forward to welcome Hughes Newman, because I hope he can clarify a lot of things. So give a warm welcome to Hughes Newman.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, thank you very much, Frank. Appreciate that wonderful introduction. And so today we're going to be talking about quite a strange subject, to be honest with you. It's not something you normally probably hear at a fascinating conference such as this, but it has parallels because there's a cover-up going on with this story, a huge cover-up that's been going on for 150 years by major institutions, not just in America, but around the world. And we're really questioning our true origins of where we came from. If there was a giant race in North America, which I'm going to suggest there was in this lecture, and in different parts of the world, then why has that been removed from the historical record and deliberately brushed under the carpet? But I'm also, what got me into this was actually other research. I've been a megalithomaniac for many years. I've got a couple of books out, one called Earth Grids, looking at connections and ley lines of ancient sites around the world. I just recently published a book about stone circles. And have any of you seen that amazing and crazy TV program, Ancient Aliens? About 4 of you, brilliant. So that I've been involved in that for about the last 6 years. They keep inviting me on for some reason. And also there was a TV show, if you haven't seen it, it's worth trying to find it. It's called Search for the Lost Giants, which was instigated by my co-author Jim Vieira. Also, like Frank, I organise conferences. This is a couple of conferences I organise. One in London, the Origins Conference every November, and Megalithomania we've been running for over 10 years, or 11, 12 years even, in May. So if you want to come over and hear more about megaliths and giants, please do. I also travel and explore quite extensively. It's one of the reasons I'm quite happy to come to Denmark. This is a very short journey, it's a 2-hour flight for me. But we do get around the world, we run tours and sometimes conferences in other places. A very good friend of mine is Brian Forrester. I believe some of you met him a couple of years ago here, and we organise tours. And this is really to enable us to fund our research and our travel, because we travel a lot and we research a lot and we don't have any funding, any sponsors. So any income we get goes into that. But it's really the megaliths, and this is one aspect which really intrigues me. Do the lights need to be on the screen so much? Because it seems like they're bleaching out a little bit. And is one aspect, for instance, out of many, is these polygonal walls we find all over the world. And on the bottom left there, we can see there's me standing there against this polygonal wall. Oh, whoops a daisy. One more time. This is actually one of the pyramids on the Giza Plateau. This is from Peru, this is Italy, and this is Easter Island. And all over the world we find examples of massive megalithic blocks, often attributed to giants. We find that also at many of the quarries, such as this one at Baalbek in Lebanon, where some of these stones weigh over 1,000 tons. And they're always talked about giants in prehistory, in the legends and in the folklore, connecting it all up. And now there's some truth to these myths and these legends. These are images you may have seen on the internet over the years, even over the decades. And every single one of these you see here, they've appeared in books, they've appeared on multiple websites, in articles, but every single one of them photos is a hoax. They were created in 2002 on the Worth 1000 website as a competition who could do the best archaeological giant Photoshop image, and these were some of the examples that came forth. But don't let that put you off, because there are some real giants, not necessarily quite as outrageously big as these, but most certainly they do exist. This is just some images representing the Bible, really. On the left we have David defeating Goliath, which is, everyone knows about this from their childhood onwards. On the right hand side here we have King Og of Bashan's bed. This is supposed to be extremely tall giant who once lived in the Bible lands, and this is the representation of that. So all throughout the Bible we have hundreds of accounts of the Canaanites, the Amorites, and many other tribes that were witnessed and talked about in the Old Testament. And they sound very matter of fact, as we'll see a little bit later. In Britain, we have stories of Jack the Giant Killer, which later became Jack and the Beanstalk, which was a much softer Victorian fairy tale. But these go way back into prehistory, these stories of Jack the Giant Killer defeating all these giants on St Michael's Mount in Devon, even into Wales and other parts of England. And I've written an article about this, which is going to feature in the next book, which looks at all the giants of Britain. And we found over 100 accounts of authenticated giant bones and skeletons all across the country. And it makes you wonder why these traditions emerge. You know, are they finding bones and skeletons going back over the last 1,000 or so years? All over Europe we have examples. This was a map put together by Cecilia Hall. She's a fellow giantologist, and she's been researching and plotting on Google Earth many accounts, and this is some we get from Europe and the Middle East. So we can see they really congregate all over Britain here, but all over this area we find examples and traditions that match this. But coming back to England, even in my hometown where I'm from, a place called Cambridge, actually a village called Cherry Hinton, there's a series of hills called the Gog Magog Hills. Now these, everyone that's aware of this knows that Gog Magog was the giant that was defeated on Plymouth Hoe by Brutus the Trojan, going back into prehistory. And actually on these hills some giant skeletons were found. There's actually a place called the Giant's Grave, which I used to walk past every day on my way to school. So I find it quite weird that even in my local area where I grew up, there's very strong traditions of giants. Even at Stonehenge we have very interesting accounts going very, very far back. This is the earliest pictorial depiction of Stonehenge. It goes back to the early 1400s, and it's based on the history of the kings of Britain by Geoffrey of Monmouth, and illustrated in a different version of that book by Robert Wace. And it clearly shows Merlin here, who's talked about in these books with some other gentleman, and a giant lifting the stones into place. Now the interesting thing about this is that if you look into that particular book, The History of the Kings of Britain, which was published in the 1300s, it talks about giants bringing stones over from North Africa to Ireland, and eventually, many thousands of years later, they were then brought over from Ireland to Salisbury Plain. And this is where how Stonehenge was apparently formed, according to legend. But the first known name of Stonehenge was the Giant's Dance. That's the first, or the Giant's Ring. There's different versions, but it was never called Stonehenge. That's a later Saxon name. It basically means hanging stones. Just give you some examples of some skeletons, bones and skulls that have been found in the Stonehenge area. This is a huge skull that was noted by John Aubrey that was placed outside a church, and it must have been for someone between 8 and 9 feet tall. This is quite an interesting one. Just down the road from Stonehenge, in a mound in Salisbury, a 9'4" skeleton was found. And this is most certainly in the Stonehenge greater landscape. And this was found at a site called the Giant's Grave. In 1802, another skeleton was reported. This time it was 14 feet 10 inches in length. And this was reported in several different books and diaries and journals at this time. So where was that skeleton gone? I'd be very interested to see that. We have this version here as well, just further south, a few miles south of Stonehenge. A skeleton of large dimensions was found in the Wood Yates Mound Group. We have another one here, a 7-foot skeleton was found in that area too. So the list goes on, just around Stonehenge itself, where it's said that giants may have constructed the site. And within the mounds we actually find reports of bones. And we know that in that area, when the Beaker people came to the area around 2300 BC, they were a much larger type of stock than the local people were at the time. We'll get more into that later. Even in Glastonbury, where I lived for many years, there's Glastonbury Abbey, and in the 1100s this particular story emerged, and it's been authenticated by several different people. When there's basically quite a long story, I'll just summarize this quickly, but there was like at the time of King Henry, he was kind of instructed in dreams to like research what was going on in Glastonbury Abbey at the time, and they dug beneath the ground in a certain spot, and they found halfway down, about 8 or 10 feet down, they found this. They dug further down and they found a huge coffin, like a wooden log coffin, like with a Celtic style burial, which had a giant skeleton within it. And this later was described as King Arthur and Guinevere had been discovered, and this is what was described on this lead cross. But we think the lead cross was created by the monks to increase pilgrims and tourism to the area. But the genuine discovery of this extremely tall, potentially 9 foot tall giant is still in the records, and it's unfortunately lost now because it was almost 1,000 years ago. But it does give hints that there's a genuine phenomenon of this in ancient England. This just shows you Europe again. We're going to move quickly over to Ireland here. This is a place called Fornox, where huge skeletons were found in the Boyne Valley. This is a very interesting site. It's near Newgrange and Tara, and it's like a burial chamber, but there were many satellite mounds in the area and chambers. And in these mounds, back in 1950, very, very tall skeletons were unearthed, and this fits with the legends of the Tuatha Dé Danann and the Firbolg and others in ancient Ireland. This is probably the most famous Irish giant. This was found in County Antrim, Ireland, and it was thought to be 12 foot 2 inches tall, with a girth of chest of 6 foot 6 inches, and the arms were 4 foot 6 inches long, and it had 6 toes on one of the feet. This was found in like a peat bog, so it was preserved. It was almost mummified, and they had to cover it up in this area here because the Victorian women kept fainting with what was beneath there. But it got displayed in Liverpool, Dublin and London, and then it disappeared. And this is the photo next to a train carriage, so you can see the size of it, and it completely disappeared. Now people claim this may have been a hoax, but there's no evidence it was. Other examples, I'm just going to give you a few examples of various different areas. This was found at a place called Dysart in Louth, and they found basically a skull of various bones that would have been of a person 10 feet tall. Just a matter-of-fact account from a newspaper reported by local people. This is the same kind of story we keep finding all over the world, and there just doesn't seem any reason to make this up. I mean, if they're exaggerating slightly and maybe he was 9 feet tall, that's still pretty tall. Even over in Egypt down here, we have examples, obviously all over the Middle East, there's many examples. We could spend days here going through all the different ones. This is one interesting example. This is from Philae Island, the Temple of Isis in Egypt. And they found a row of tombs in which they found 7 foot tall giants, but they also found a giant which was 11 foot 1 inch tall. And again, this was a matter-of-fact account. It appeared in many newspapers in 1881. Where the bones are, again, we don't know. But this is one of the most compelling pieces of evidence. These are a mummified giant finger that was found and researched by Gregor Spory in the 1980s. And he got together and he got told about this former grave robber who had a sort of legacy in his family of grave robbing. And they had all these goods and other things they would sell to people, and he got taken up 100 kilometers north of Cairo to this family. He met this old gentleman, and this was presented to him. And it was found about 150 years ago, not too far from Giza apparently, and it got x-rayed, and it was proven to be a genuine human finger, but it was so big that it was like 15 inches long in total, that it must have been someone 15, 16 feet tall. And I've talked to Gregor about this, and he says it's a genuine thing. He saw the finger himself. Where the rest of the body is, he didn't know. The problem is he went back there like 10 years later to try and meet the family again, and they moved away, they disappeared, no one could locate them. So we don't have much to go on here, and I wish he'd taken a sample and done some DNA testing. I've recently written an article about the giants of ancient Egypt on the ancient-origins.net website, and while I was doing that, we went up to the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, and they got an Egyptian display there, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw a boomerang in the Egyptian display going back to the first dynasty, 3200 BC of ancient Egypt, which is just one of the many connections between Australia and ancient Egypt. But this really intrigued me because here below it is a classic flint knife which you get from that era of prehistoric Egypt. This is also a flint knife, or the end of one. There's about this much of it here, and this is clearly somewhat bigger.
In 1988, while in Egypt, hunting for ancient relics, Swiss archaeologist Gregor Spree would stumble across a once-in-a-lifetime find. After paying a handsome fee of $300 to be allowed to inspect the grave robber's collection, he would be handed a package, wrapped in rags, and apparently with quite a musky odor. Within, he would discover an enormous mummified finger. It measured an amazing 16 inches in length, resulting in height estimates of 16+ feet for the original owner of such a monstrous digit. Spree recounted the moment he laid eyes on the finger to a local press newspaper when he released the photos to the public. Quote, "I was allowed to take it in hand and also to take pictures. A bill was put next to it to get an idea of its enormous size. The bent finger was split open and covered with dried mold. It was surprisingly light, maybe a few 100 grams. My heart was in my throat. Some believe the finger may have belonged to an extinct prehistoric giant ape, but alas, like so many other artifacts of this nature, subsequently vanished shortly after it gained public attention. Also, the ape in question died out hundreds of thousands of years ago, and the digit of this ancient animal has never been found. We have only ever found small bone fragments and teeth. Imagine then the odds of finding a fully mummified finger from the animal within a Tomb Raider's collections in Egypt. They are probably quite slim. Also leaving the question as to how it ended up mummified in Egypt a tough one to answer. He returned to Egypt in 2009 compelled to learn more about it, but unfortunately, by then, the old man who allowed Spree to take the pictures had vanished, and with him all traces of the mysterious finger. If there was found to indeed have been a race of giant, highly intelligent humans that colonized ancient Egypt, it would help tremendously in explaining the construction of the pyramids.
In 1972, a seed was planted for the Michigan Lottery to support public schools. Last year alone,
in ancient times, there were extraordinary knowledge and building techniques on a colossal scale, from massive statues to gigantic foundation stones. We still can't match these achievements today, but we have tried. In 2012, a huge sculpture was unveiled at the Los Angeles Museum of Art. The installation consists of a 340-ton boulder affixed above a concrete trench through which visitors may walk. The nature, expense, and scale of the installation made it an instant topic of discussion throughout the world. But this massive chunk of stone was first conceived in 1968 by Michael Heiser, and he first attempted the construction in 1969. But all efforts had been abandoned after the biggest cranes at the time kept breaking under the weight of the rock. In 2006, he again began work on his project, receiving tens of millions of dollars in private donations from the art world. In 2012, the rock was complete and ready to be moved. It was loaded onto a 290-foot-long, 196-wheel transport custom-built by Emirates International. Because of the transporter size, the boulder could only be moved at a maximum speed of about 7 miles per hour. They had to travel a special 106-mile route through 22 cities and 4 counties in order to avoid overpasses and roads that could not support the weight of the boulder. The rock was wrapped in a high thread count Egyptian cotton sheets and an outer layer of super thick plastic before being loaded onto the transporter. The trip took 11 days and the stone is a 340-ton boulder. So now you guys are thinking, yeah, so what? Great achievement, but what's your point? The point that we are making here, guys, is that at 340 tons, the rock is nothing but a pebble compared to the biggest carved stones of ancient times. Carved stones of 500, 700, 900 tons are found in their thousands all over the world. So if it was extremely difficult to move a stone weighing a fraction of the weight of the ancient stones, then the question has to be, how on earth was it done? Just wait till you hear this. At number 6, the Axum Stela, also known as the Obelisk of Axum. This huge obelisk is thought to have fallen around the 4th century. Now fully restored in Axum in Ethiopia and weighing about 500 tons, it is a true marvel for that region. Dating back at least 2,000 years BC, the carving, construction, and the eventual raising of this piece is absolutely astonishing and is one of the heaviest stone carvings from ancient times. But it is nowhere near the heaviest objects, as it is light years away from any of the others we're about to mention. Number 5 on our list, Solomon's Temple. The largest stone at the Western Wall stone from the Western Wall tunnel is estimated at 11.625 meters long and weighs between 700 and 900 tons. The wall had an original height of from 70 to 140 feet. In places, it is built from bottom to top of large squared stones, beveled at the edges and varying between 97.5 centimeters and 1.8 meters in height. The stones are laid without cement. The longest until now discovered measures 11.625 meters in length. The massiveness of the work is on par with the Egyptian pyramids, and the perfection of the cutting and fitting of the stone is as equal. Again, the finished sizes and weights of these stones is on an industrious scale, but not as big or as heavy as our next selection. In at number 4, the Colossi of Memnon. These two giants were built from a single piece of stone each. They are oriented towards the sunrise at winter solstice, and they weigh over 1,000 tons each. The statues are made from blocks of quartzite sandstone, which was stone quarried near modern-day Cairo and transported 420 miles over land. They are too heavy to have been transported upstream on the Nile, and there was once a mortuary temple that once stood behind these two figures that has been completely stripped for its masonry. It is not surprising that the occasional eyebrows are raised about the past concerning the extent of the masonry skills used in ancient times. Not only were the structures superior in a visionary capacity, but also in precision, design, and execution. Ancient people in this region of the world heralded a time of extraordinary achievement. It was the age of the pyramid builders, when some of the largest and most sophisticated structures of all time were built, including the last remaining 7 wonders of the ancient world. The true age of most of these sites predates 12,000 years and built by a completely lost civilization that appears to have spread all across the globe. Although apparently spontaneous, the technology underlying these huge constructions was built on a foundation of science and mathematics, which in turn has provided us with traces of their manufacturing processes, which are proving totally astonishing. Cuts and holes on hundreds of stones, indicating that the ancients drilled into granite with a feed rate that was 500 times greater and deeper per revolution of that of the most powerful modern day tools. In at number 3 on our list, the Ramesseum Colossus. Although only fragments of the base and torso remain of this massive statue, it would have weighed in at 1,300 tons. In front of the ruins is the base of the Colossus. On the granite Colossus's shoulders is an inscription describing Ramses as the Sun Prince. These inscriptions were added during the reign of Ramses, but the actual site itself is actually thousands of years older. The statue fell into the second court and the head and torso remain there, but the other broken pieces are in museums all over the world. Only fragments of the base and torso remain of the Colossus statue, which would have stood 19 meters high and weighed at least 1,300 tons. The stone for the statue was transported 170 miles overland from Aswan to Thebes. This would have once been the largest statue in the world. Number 2, the Stone of the South. Located at Baalbek in Lebanon, the so-called Stone of the South at the Temple of Jupiter is of incredible proportions. The highest estimates of this unfinished stone's weight have reached an incredible 2,000 tons. 3 other smaller stones under the grand terrace of the temple itself are also estimated to weigh from between 750 and 1,000 tons.
5-Hour Energy Fast Facts. 5-Hour Energy shots are sugar-free
each, and there are several other colossal stones to be seen around the Great Temple of the Sun at Baalbek in Lebanon. There's even a rumor that an even bigger piece of stone weighing closer to 3,000 tons has been discovered, but we were unable to confirm this. The stones were cut from red granite, with the largest, the Stone of the South, still attached to the bedrock. All of the large stones used for the Temple of the Sun at Baalbek were quarried from the same location and taken over half a mile uphill to build the Great Temple. Crazy, right? Dragging stones weighing upwards of 2,000 tons each uphill? Is that even possible? And number one on our list, the unfinished obelisk. This gigantic obelisk would have stood an incredible 42 meters high and weighed over 2,700 tons when complete. This incredible stone is more than twice the size of any known obelisk ever raised, and quarrymen apparently abandoned the obelisk when natural fractures appeared in its side. However, the stone, still attached to bedrock, gives important clues to how the ancients quarried granite. Much of the red granite used for ancient temples and colossi came from quarries in the Aswan area, 500 miles south of Cairo. The unfinished obelisk still lies where a crack was discovered as it was hewn from the rock. This is disputably the largest stone ever quarried and certainly on par with the unfinished stone at Baalbek, Lebanon. This obelisk would have been taller than anything ever raised. The discovery of this obelisk and several others in their unfinished states allows us to see how they were made, but not what tools were used, which remains a complete mystery. Does it not just completely boggle your mind that we struggle to move a rock with modern technology a fraction the size of the 6 we have mentioned here? We think the ancient world was not as primitive as we're being led to believe. We may not have the answers, but at least we have the questions. Oh, by the way, we have one more selection for you guys on our list. You could call this the bonus selection for all of our subscribers who take the time to watch our videos right through. Okay, so we have already had number 1, but we thought this video would not be complete without a notable surprise. So the real heaviest monolith of the ancient world is in fact almost 17 tons and is near 10 times as heavy as any other monolith from the ancient world. Wait till you hear this. This is the true largest monolith in the world, Yangshan Stele Base. Stele Base is an unfinished construction from the Ming Empire located near Nanjing, China. Its estimated weight is approximately 16,800 tons. Yes, you heard that correctly, 16,800 tons. That means the Stele Base is heavier than all of our previous selections combined and then some. The gigantic unfinished Stele Base that was abandoned in an ancient Chinese quarry could provide the answer to the question of how other monolithic stone blocks were made in other parts of the world. In scope and ambition, the Stele project stands alone as the greatest undertaking humankind has ever attempted. The size and weight is almost unimaginable. It is heavier than 8 statues of liberty combined, and the purpose for which this stone was being quarried for is an absolute mystery. This stone is not as old as the other selections, but further investigation by experts is required. This is one of those sites that is not popularized yet, guys. So remember the name Yangshan Stele Base, and remember where you heard about it first. It is one of these sites on Earth that, if properly investigated and understood, then it could change our understanding of how these megastones were carved and moved. So there you have it, the heaviest stones on the planet that we know it could change our... So remember the theory. This stone is not as old as the other selections, but further investigation by experts is required. This is one of those sites that is not popularized yet, guys. So remember the name Yangshan Stele Base, and remember where you heard about it first. It is one of these sites on Earth that, if properly investigated and understood, then it could change our understanding of how these megastones were carved and moved. So there you have it, the heaviest stones on the planet that we know of as carved by humans. We may not understand completely how ancient people achieved this, but no one can deny the existence of these colossal undertakings. We hope you have enjoyed our selection here, guys. Thanks for watching, and remember, the ways by which we arrive at knowledge are hardly less wonderful than the discoveries of these things themselves.
We're at the granite quarry that has one in Egypt. Most of the granite used by the ancient Egyptians is from this site. And you just saw a demonstration of how conventional archaeology believes that the stone was shaped with that dolerite or diorite pounder. As you can see, my effort was futile. This is the ancient way that we know that the dynastic Egyptians extracted stone by putting wedges into these grooves after they cut them out. Probably wooden wedges. They were bathed in water so the wood would expand. And then you would break off an uneven surface. However, the unfinished obelisk, which would have weighed 1,200 tons had it been completed, doesn't have a lot of those marks on it. Instead, it has what one would call scoop marks, and that obviously is a different form of technology that was used.
It's time to experience the new Buick. GM employee program participants with a
love the internet, but the internet is tracking everything you do. With IPv6.
As I looked into this, I just wanted to talk about it for 5 minutes today because it's got a very interesting backstory, which is as a lot of these megalithic structures are, find that they've got some kind of backstory which doesn't make sense, and this is another one. Mm-hmm. They claim this is only about three massive megaliths here, and one of them is about 40 meters long and something like 18 meters high, and the next one's a little bit smaller.
Yeah, they're huge. Look at them.
But smaller. They're absolutely massive. And the one that's behind that has almost been carved out from the hillside underneath it in its entirety. And the story behind it is that there were these 600 years ago, they were going to make a dragon megalith out of 3 interlocking parts, and they were going to move it somewhere and for the emperor and have it be the biggest, most impressive megalithic statue ever. And they did all this work and they carved all of this out, and then they went, how are we going to move this? Oh, we can't move it. You know what? Let's call it off. We'll just leave it there. And so that's the official story.
That's the Yangshan Quarry. And so these are the monoliths. These are the pieces that they
these are the pieces. I think the piece on the left there was going to be the head, and then this was going to be the body, and there was like a third. There was a third piece that sort of.
Those are some big stones.
Middling size.
And this is limestone from what I read, right? It's not.
They're absolutely.
Hard stone, but
yeah, they're absolutely massive. I think what I was reading is that the largest one is over 1,600 tons. And
Valdec territory.
Yeah, and the other ones are, 800 tons.
This is impressive here.
This 166.
This whole wall here is just this.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a lot of work. It's reminiscent of some of the Hanapacha stuff, which we'll talk about.
It looks very Hanapacha. If you look, the one that's on the side there, if you look at the right side of that as it goes past, and we might even have one of the pictures, might have a shot of it, but
look at the pictures.
It looks just like some of the stuff you see behind Sacsayhuaman, the way that the side of the wall has been cut out, and like the smoothing on the front looks similar to some of the scooping corners.
These aren't our pictures, just to
These
clarify.
are not our pictures. I found these on I think it's megalith.org.
Oh, this thing here, yeah, look at that.
Yeah, through the thanks to Rob Gottfall on Facebook.
Rob Gottfall, yeah, he's great. Actually, shows a lot of great content.
Yeah, he does. And and now look at the right side of that down at the bottom.
Is this here? You mean? Oh, over here?
This one, yeah. That to me, like, you remember when we were walking through, the backside of Sacsayhuaman, so to speak, and all the stones that have been turned over, and like the upside down sort of staircases and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You see an awful lot of stuff that is just like that.
Wow.
In the sort of Peruvian Han Pacha stuff, and to me this looks really similar to a lot of that Peruvian stuff. It's even got the big knobs.
The knobs, these weirdly formed knobs, and that's a funny thing. It's kind of illogical to think that, okay, we're going to go to the effort of planning a statue. So apparently these are people that have done this before, right? This is the other thing to consider. When you look at a lot of megalithic works, this is a funny thing. And sometimes they try and attribute this in Egypt. They say there was trial passages on the Giza passageway. What we don't see in a lot of the megalithic work is practice, is things where you can see apprentices that are working up to the end of it, particularly South America. You either see it's either megalithic or it's not, but there's not a lot of these in between phases. There is some say Göbekli Tepe was maybe a function like that as a training site, but that's what you're expecting. My point is that the people that are making this and planning this, if we're going to be using monoliths and stones like this, then you consider the project all the way through, like the Chinese, and you say 600 years ago, so it's dynastic China. Then those empires, I mean, I've been to China, I don't know how many times. So I'm used to work in IT. Well, I'm taking a break from IT as long, depending on how much Patreon support we get for this sort of stuff is going to sort of determine the length of that break at some extent. But I mean, I've been there a dozen or two times, and I've been to the wall, I've been through the Forbidden City, and they didn't do things by halves. Like this, they planned things out, and it was obviously master craftsmen.
Right.
The point being, they're not going to go to this effort of, we're going to make this thing, and all of a sudden, how do we move these stones? Wait, we did all this, we spent years carving these things. How do we move these things?
It's absolutely ridiculous to think that all of a sudden they would sit there and realize that. And the only way that I could see in just the brief 2 hours of research that I put into this, that they attribute it to this particular dynasty because they say this was the same dynasty that built the treasure fleet and the Forbidden City. Now, the treasure fleet was built out of wood. The Forbidden City, I believe, is wood, right?
It is, yeah. It's the biggest wooden palace complex in the world. It's actually 900. It's really cool.
So using some boats and a wooden palace as sort of proof that this dynasty
does not a story make. Right.
And
so
then,
what
the legend that goes with it makes no sense. There's, like you said, there's no way that you plan the three pieces, how they're going to interlock, like where you're going to put them, and then do 80% of the work and then realize that you can't move those. You know what you can move.
Yeah, right. You plan it out. The point is, I think that the idea here is what the official story that we hear and are told as part of history is people making up. They're looking at something, they're trying to fit it to an established story. Like there is the frame of reference by which we create these orthodox histories says that nobody, if we don't have the capability, or we know that the Chinese didn't have the capability, or something like that, right? You have to try and make it fit this picture of the past, and that's what you have. And I mean, the only thing I've got to say to the people that come up with sort of stuff, and I mean, this is a real issue with history. I mean,
shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
Indeed.
Shame on you.
A few shame on yous for you there. That's actually Zahi Hawass saying that to Graham Hancock. But we're going to use that a little bit here and there.
I love that.
Yeah. But anyway, that's interesting. I had something else that I was going to quickly touch on too. Again, and I won't spend much time doing this, but just something that I'd like to come back to again and again, which is this topic of the Younger Dryas. So we've got a video that talks through the Younger Dryas. We use it as we talk about it quite a bit. I'm going to do some more videos on it. I'd like to do another version of that Younger Dryas video. That was an excerpt from our first podcast, and I think I can probably be a little more clear. But there's a lot of science behind this, the evidence that suggests that the Younger Dryas cataclysm, all of the climate change that happened around that period of time, that's shown in ice core samples, was the result of a comet impact. Now, without getting into all of the details, there is a comet research group that's out there looking at this now. You see it here. It's cometresearchgroup.org. And just to run through it, I mean, there's already been a tremendous weight, and this is, again, Graham Hancock in his books, and these guys, they talk about this quite a lot. Graham's really championing this. But there's an awful lot of scientific weight already behind this theory, and it's got to the point where I think in certain circles in the sort of scientific peer-reviewed community, this is now the very strong case, if you like, for what caused and what happened in the Younger Dryas, what made all of the megafauna go extinct. There's been a number of papers that have come up and objections raised to this theory as it's been developed over, and this is really only stuff that's happened the last 15 years. Again, every time, you know, this is new work that really affects our view of the past. You can see all of these papers here. I mean, there's I don't need to read through all of the different examples, but you can get on the website and go and look at these actual peer-reviewed published papers. They're all free to view. You don't have to pay to see any of this stuff. But there's been some arguments that have come back against the Younger Dryas comet impact, and every single one of those arguments has been just categorically shot down and shut down. I mean, in fact, there's some papers here that actually address specifically some of the concerns and I guess the questions and criticisms raised of it, which is good. This is science, like peer-reviewed process, and it's. I want to be clear too that that's kind of how and we are approaching this too. It's the scientific method, these topics and these theories, and in a lot of cases, everybody's got theories and proposals on and hypothesis on how these happen. Have to stand up to that criticism and the debate. That's the whole peer-reviewed process. And you know, there's a whole lot in history, where, in particularly the soft sciences, history, archaeology, Egyptology, that don't really go through that process, or it's certainly a different process almost than what happens in some of these more hard sciences like the paleoclimatology, all of the analysis of the black mat layer, the nanodiamonds, all that type of thing. So just a note, just to say that this stuff's out here. If you're looking to get a better understanding of what happened in our past, there's an awful lot of weight behind the evidence that the bloody big comet rammed into the planet about 12,800 years ago, and it's all out here on the web, free to read and get some education in. It's at least even just reading the first part of these papers, that the summary is the abstract is you'll get a good picture of just how much weight of evidence there is behind this now.
Yeah, it does seem to make an awful lot of sense, and it sheds some light for sure on ancient civilizations and some of the remnants that we have behind, and how could it be that this is here and made this way and such and such.
And something else, just before we get to Ollantaytambo, that I wanted to kind of get to. I don't know. I mean, this is just a bit of fun, really. But you often get, and I've seen, we get pushback and some criticism, and there's lots of interesting theories that come out there. One of my favourites have been over the years is hearing about how within that orthodox framework of history, the proposals for how ancient cultures moved around really heavy stones and moved around the really big stuff. Right? Because there's a lot of sort of facets to this problem, right? As you've got the actual cutting and movement of the stone, you've got the transport of the stone, you've got whole other areas that deal with the actual precision surfaces and the planning and what it takes to fit those sort of things together. But this was a video I just saw the other day, and it's got like 100,000 views, and you'll notice the dislike ratio is about 50% of the likes. It's
the pyramids.
The pyramids. That's pretty dramatic right away.
No, I like the music.
Stonehenge.
Feels like Howard Shore got in there with the soundtrack.
The large sculptures of Easter Island.
Yeah, Easter Island.
The Mayan pyramids. The 500-ton megaliths of Israel's Western Wall.
Not a site I've looked at in a great deal, but there are megaliths.
How did the ancients move the massive stones from the quarry to the job site?
That's a very good question.
Mario Jason may have solved what has baffled archaeologists and mathematicians for eons.
I love this. Look at this.
Man, 6 feet tall.
6 foot tall man.
6 feet tall.
Stone, 300 tons.
300 tons.
How were they moved?
Let's see what they see.
Trees were cut.
Yes, okay, on board.
The trees were then bound together.
That's fine. With rope and just primitive tools, got it.
They were then crushed under the 300-ton
Notches were cut in the stone.
Okay, notches were cut in the stone.
What's interesting is I've seen an awful lot of these stones. I haven't seen too many of those.
You don't see a lot of notches. Wait, there's not only these notches on the side, but part of the series also.
Yes.
Wait for it. I love the music though. Good animation.
I feel like the orcs are coming out of Mordor for this music.
Listen to this. I
Right
like
now,
the
look
trees with
how
them
deep is
inserted-
that drill hole?
No, the whole way through.
The trees were then inserted into the notches, and the legs were attached to the trees.
Okay, so and then we drilled 16-inch holes into granite to insert a tree.
All the way through.
Show me someone doing that. I mean, it's just okay. And then the rest.
I noticed there's a
stones
lack
lifted
of
off the
sand
ground natural.
in this diagram.
Yeah, there's a lack of sand and milk. There needs to be more milk being thrown in front.
Maybe that's why the background's all white. That's all supposed to be milk.
It could be all milk. Got it. Yes, by the way, we're making reference to one of the other theories of how they move this around, which is a new thing, like the wooden sled theory in Egypt.
Yes, they
everyone-
poured water.
Yeah, they poured water, and not only all milk, because the fat then gets under and somehow makes it.
Well, this is the
Yeah.
thing. They said it was water, but if you read the hieroglyphs, if there's somebody pouring like a jug of liquid in front of a stone.
Oh, right,
It's
there's actually
exactly
a
a statue. It's actually a statue on a sled, and maybe that is how they move some statues around. But
I'm sure I did.
so they came out with this whole
Egyptians
theory
did that.
about how they watered down the sand. But if you actually read the hieroglyph, it says milk. So how many cows were they milking
to pave the way?
Yeah,
For some of those stones, and then.
Do you remember
stones
those?
at King's Chamber lift them up 175 feet off the ground too, but never mind that.
Right. Well, you might remember too. This kind of thing just kind of gets spread around because when we were staying at when we were in Egypt, we stayed at the Sphinx Mercure.
Yeah.
I don't recommend eating anything there in the hotel itself.
It's okay, yeah, unless the Mina House is the best. But,
Yes,
wants to pay that much
definitely. Right. But they had up at the upstairs dining room, if you remember.
Yeah, they had the pictures up
the
there.
night we dared, they had these paintings on the walls of the ancient Egyptians moving the stones around outside the pyramid, and it's literally 6 guys with some rope, just pulling like a 3-ton block across.
Here's a theory. I love this too.
This minimizes the amount of energy
Apparently,
used
this
and lessens
minimizes
the
it.
amount of people required to move those.
Yeah, you
heavy
only need
stones.
3 guys. Look,
Even
That's 6,
moving
I
heavy
think, 6.
stones uphill or downhill with this system would be much easier because there is less surface area touching the ground than having to.
You were going to 300 tons. Even if you're trying to use leverage like this wood, this half of this wood would shatter. You're talking. And again, where are the trees in Egypt? The cedar trees, like there's this, and these places where they come from in often cases. So this is the excuse why
We've
there's
seen
no
some
trees on
pretty
Easter
good tube
Island.
drill marks, but I've never seen a tube drill that's gone 16 feet through anything. I've
No.
never seen it.
Well, 16 inches wide.
Going, or 16 inches wide.
Well, you're talking about some big tree trunks to pull to get because you're applying all that force. I mean, it's there is definitely leverage and things going on. I love this animation.
Drag
Look at this.
on wood rollers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And I did. Okay, so we do a scale model. Can't get 6 guys together to move the 300 ton
weighing
stone.
2 to 10 tons. A cradle made out of wood with the same type of movement would do much better than a system of pulling.
I love
especially when going
this part here with the actual how the post is popped out of the hole. And mind you, you're also talking about like these length poles on that, and I'll add my head in here to show you what I'm talking about. But the long pole.
places where they show that they have like their stone pottery, and they have like a piece of stone sideways on a rod that they can turn like this, and that they would then be able to sort of put it down inside the neck and gradually increase this, and it would be a very long process. But the dynastic, the middle and later period, which is where you see a lot of that, but Venice is early, so this is probably the earliest depiction we have of that. It's not clear what kind of stone they're using, and all the stuff that they managed to do on the outside of it, the necks and the very narrow holes through the sides. It's kind of indicative that they had some. That's all right. It's pre-dynastic. It's so, they claim it's the Naqada, pre-dynastic civilizations before dynastic Egypt.
I think that we're going to do. We've been focusing on sites a little these last few podcasts, but I'd like to. We'll look over to actually look at specific technologies and sort of specific out-of-place artifacts. I think would be a good one to do as a theme, just because there's so much of that in the museum, and we've got a lot of good stuff from the museum. It's really funny when you see these corundum jars, and Luke made red corundum's like a 9 on the Mohs scale. It's way harder than granite or anything. You can really only work on it with diamond. There's these jars and things next to pottery, and they're called pre-dynastic. But let's be clear too that there is the depiction. So this is how Egyptology works, right? It's the pictures on and what the Egypt, as Luke said, they were great chroniclers. They wrote down and they showed what they did. So that's why there's pictures of boats with obelisks on them. Right. There's all these sort of things that are then saying, and the pictures of the guys grinding on stone. Now, it's quite possible that the Egyptians were doing things like that, but it doesn't explain how a lot of those other objects were made, and it certainly doesn't rule out that they inherited all that stuff. And they were trying to pay homage to it in the same way that when we build and the Egyptians build administration buildings, and they build parking lot buildings, and whatever they're building over on the pyramid site, they mimic that architecture, they mimic the style. If you're trying to stay in the theme, it's because these sites are sacred. The ancient Egyptians were likely no different had they inherited all this stuff and built their culture, and they were probably much more closely connected to the pyramid builders and their culture.
And I think, as we're going to see,
they were their culture.
I think this is what the Incas were doing too. They were
absolutely
emulating the stuff that they had found to the best of their ability. And it's really the only logical explanation. We're going to go through a lot of the other explanations today.
Yeah. So let's.
I think you'll probably agree that realistically, this stuff was inherited.
Definitely. Yeah. And I like to reinforce that with a lot of this. I think that. And again, and particularly with the Egyptians, was the statues were of that culture. Like that, I think all the statues are antediluvian pyramid builder statue. Again, the writing came later, but the statues are of that culture, and that was the culture that the Egyptians were trying to mirror and maintain. And they obviously lost some capability from what was going on before the flood or immediately afterwards. Just because that's all what's attributed as Old Kingdom, and it's undeniably the oldest. Even in the Egyptians' record, it's the oldest. Never mind that they talk about things like Khufu repairing the Sphinx, one of the first. But he's attributed as building it, but there's another stele that says he was just repairing it. They were trying to emulate that culture. I just think that's we're not saying that Egyptians didn't do a lot of this stuff, and that they didn't do what's shown in the drawings and on in all of their records. That likely happened, but it was done in order to try and mimic and maintain this culture that they've inherited. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm on board. So Ollantaytambo, actually, before I go to there, let's just see where it is. I like to do this sort of thing. So from North America, Ollantaytambo, it's actually listed as a region of Cusco. It's just outside of Cusco, up in the Andes, in the high plateau there with Cusco in South America, central Peru.
Start, the Sacred Valley.
Yeah, it's actually at this kind of right at the almost where the valley comes to an end. It's a spectacular. So there's a whole list of sites there. As you can see where it is. And in fact, so there's a whole town. In fact, this is where you catch the train. You probably see the train line around somewhere.
I think you are. This is the train line. Pretty hard. I think you're.
We need
network conditions.
Let me just reshift
the network conditions there.
Yeah. It's it'll record. Lucky we're recording this in, I guess. So I'm looking at the overhead sort of Google Earth pictures of it. So you can see like the valley structure here. This is the Sacred Valley, right? So this is all through here is where the Sacred Valley goes. what was called the Sacred Valley, if you like. And Ollantaytambo Tambos, it's a town, people live there a lot. In fact, one of the guides that you'll see in a minute, he was born here, raised here.
Even if you go by the Orthodox history, it's one of the, it is the place actually that has had the longest continuous inhabitation in South America.
Yeah. And you can see the megalithic and the temple, what they call the temple aspects of it, right? And it's built onto the hillsides around this town. It's not just in the middle. There's stuff down on the ground, and this is the main area, if you like, over here, and the top of it's what's particularly interesting from a megalithic perspective. But also on the other hillsides behind it and around it, there actually are structures that are in. Whoop, lost it. There are structures that are all part of it. There we go.
Yeah, a lot of these sites out here, you see. There's an author called Jesus Camara, who I think we're going to talk about.
We are
at some point during this, but he's got a very interesting theory. His father was one of the original archaeologists to work on these sites.
Yeah,
and
so
he classifies the stonework into three very distinct and similar types, and Ollantaytambo is very similar, to a lot of the other megalithic sites in Peru and Bolivia, in that it exhibits all three types of these construction.
It does, and I'm definitely getting a network connections issue at the moment with this call. It's to my ISP. Yeah.
Yes. Who are you?
Yes. You were a little choppy there, but let's get into that, because Jesus Gamara and his father Alfredo have been on the ground here doing. I think Jesus is in his 70s now. He's been 50 years of doing this his whole life. His father was 60 years of field research, and they've got a very, very interesting and unique perspective on how this architecture ties together, and actually ties into what you would typically call the Incan. That's his book. Incan mythology of kind of the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world. And there's Hanan Pacha is the lower world. I think it's Uran Pacha is the middle world, and then Ican Pacha is the upper world. But and Jesus applies this to architectural styles. I think the way he identifies this stuff, and we'll get into exactly how he identifies them, is really, really interesting. I'm less on board with, I guess, him and his father's reasoning for how that happened, which has got to do with all sorts of orbital dynamics,
well, he
different
does
gravity levels and things like this.
Three different calendars.
Yeah, right.
And he actually extracts calendars from some of the sort of Aztec and Inca sites, and hypothesized that the Earth at a certain point in its history had different rotational calendars. Like there was a while it only had a 260-day rotation, and there was a 200-day rotation. Now we have 365.
And somehow gravity was changed as part of it.
And he's got a theory that that gravity was slightly different, and that maybe affected their ability to move some stuff.
Yeah, he has a good documentary. If you can go and find it, I've got it. You can buy it. I bought a copy of it. It's
Cosmogony of the
Three Worlds. Right.
It's an excellent documentary.
Yeah, actually, and particularly going through these architectural. So he did it in conjunction with a Dutch fellow, Peter. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry.
Jan.
Yeah, great. Particularly it's convincing on the architecture alone. It's amazing. But what I wanted to maybe we'll show here is this is actually a clip from the first time I went here, and if you may recognize Santa Hancock, Graham's wife. Here, this was I was here with Jesus, with Graham Hancock, with Brian Forrester the first time I went down to South America. It was one of the trips that really got me going. I was already interested in this field, but really opened my eyes to some other things. First chance I had to meet Graham as well. But this is how those three worlds kind of apply to traditional Incan mythology, if you like. And it's a good little clip that talks about it. This is actually filmed at the top of Ollantaytambo, which we'll then revisit again when we look at. I think I've got about 15 minutes of footage here that we'll step through. But this is Rogério, who was an excellent guide, who I think Brian still uses today. He's a great guide. Also quite open to the idea that you don't, because South America is very mysterious. A lot of the records and any data or sort of books or any written things were destroyed by the Spanish, obviously. So there's much less information about it. What we have comes down to us through the Spanish, which is kind of corrupted, just given their perspective on things. But But he talks about it. You can see how he's open to be, well, it's the Inca, maybe it's the ancient people, which is not something you get with every guide, and we'll sort of get into that a little later. But yeah, let's just roll this in.
In front of this church there is really huge stones also, just throw like everywhere. So probably the Mayor Temple of the Sun was down there. And here we don't know exactly what the Incas or these people or these ancient people want to make here. So the point here is that you can see this symbol again. Yeah? Look at here. One.
Pre-stabilized camera, so sorry for mine.
Did you see the tree one? So the same philosophy that the Incas used, that the three levels of the world. Yeah? Ukupacha, Kaipacha, Hanampacha. So
I just let me say Ukupacha. It's the other way around. I sort of said Hananpacha was the bottom and Urampacha, and so he's doing it. I'm wrong. He's right. I mean, High World is Hananpacha, but that corresponds to the older stuff, which we'll get into. But he's just describing how they talk about the three worlds as three sort of dimensions.
I think he's describing it differently from Jesus Gemara. I tend to go with Gemara's explanation because the way the Hananpacha is the oldest type of building style.
Jerry, he's not talking about he's not making any reference to ages or any of that. He's talking about how those three terms, which are terms that are the same terms that
the underworld, the middle physical world,
exactly,
and the overworld.
Right, and they're the terms that Jesus uses to describe it, as well as how these are kind of used in traditional Incan mythology, which actually makes a lot of sense when you consider, if you think about like the higher world, the highest world, the highest achievements, the Hananpacha. But anyway, he'll explain that this isn't the architecture. This is more of the traditional Incan mythology.
What's interesting too is that the Chicano, whenever you see it, almost 95% of the time, it's
shape.
Yes, it's how it is in his hand. If you notice on the wall, there's two of them. There's one right behind his head, and there's one up above.
There's three of them on this wall, actually.
It's right. They're different. They've got way more steps or extra levels.
Yeah. That's I had the same observation. So the Chicana being the Incan shape, the stepped cross, if you like. Typically in the megalithic stuff, when there's that shape, it's more than it's more levels, and I'm pretty sure it's the same at Tiwanaku, where they had the big Chicanas in the stone. Although they might actually be these exact Chicanas, but they also have just like 4 squared plugs at Tiwanaku. It's very bizarre. So we should really look at that side at some point too. It's really amazing.
Like Ben had met Jesus before. And
on this trip
we met him again later.
2015.
2015.
Second time.
We invited him out to lunch. We had a chat with him, and his English is much better than our Spanish. There was still a lot of translating that had to be done. We actually had a Mayan elder with us. She's been on the Mayan Council for over 20 years. Her name's Elizabeth Arache. And she and Jesus got into quite a spirited discussion about the calendar and the period.
I remember that.
The different calendars. She was not happy with his interpretation.
Which
we smoothed that over just a little bit.
We did, and that's a point we'll make too in here, is that because there's so little data, and in some cases you also have cultures that are much more directly connected to those ancient, and particularly the Inca and Maya cultures. It's a very sensitive topic, so the whole space is very conservative. Right, there's when you go down there, typically you'll get the guides. They'll tell you the Incans, they made everything. And that's just the way it is, and they'll explain away this, and we'll talk about how they explain away the different versions of this architecture, which we'll get into. But because it's very conservative, and I think Graham makes this point in his book, it's very difficult. As soon as you can play around at the edges of things, like there's sundials and more alignments and all this, but as soon as you cross over into that, it wasn't the Inca that made this and they inherited it. That's when you start getting it's not received very well. You just get attacked, and you're sort of on the out of bounds territory, and you'll be thrown out of the place. I mean, that's ideologically speaking, that's what happens.
We've definitely had our share of abuse.
Yeah, we did.
The Mother Earth level or under the ground. The second level is where we are living now, the present world. The other one is celestial world, which is in the sky.
God damn!
All these three levels was symbolized for three animals.
Well, you need a big ass plate for that shit, boy. God damn, boy, you gotta get the big dinner plate for breakfast.
So that's why the next stone you
eggs, bacon, bagels. You know what I'm saying?
Just probably
they get cream cheese, and some cheese grits.
Head spot. And you can see clearly the tail part of the body.
So he's saying that there was something carved on here, and it's supposedly a puma and a tail, but hard to say. Saying that maybe the Spanish hammered the heads off it. There's definitely puma architecture. In fact, we'll get into Napahuaca here in a minute. But
well, supposedly Cusco itself is
a big
built
puma
in the shape of a puma.
Yeah. Sacsay is the head of the puma.
But yeah, Sacsayhuaman and the so-called Inca Roca wall all have designs.
Yeah. Well, and you can. Yeah, I had some cereal. For instance, Sacsay in terms of the Cusco and the actual head of the puma, that was Sacsayhuaman, from the overhead view.
Biggest mills, man, you gotta get that shit in early.
That this temple, it wasn't finished. Why? Because when you go to the quarry sector, there is more stones waiting for these ancient people. We don't know exactly why they stopped this work.
No, I can give you a guess.
Most of the theories mention that probably if the Incas built that, so when the Spanish came in 15th centuries, so they had to stop this work. But probably it's more ancient. Yeah, more ancient. So the point is that just in the way, crossing the river, it was a hard work first. And close to the river, there is stones waiting for Incas or for these ancient people. And just here, one place from here, in the corner
that's the quarry.
There is two huge
for the granite on the top.
Right, up in the.
It's on the next mountain range.
It is. It's 6 kilometers away, and you've got to get it all down there from one piece across the river, and then up the mountain on the other side.
That mark up there, that's the quarry. And there's a big river down there, so you've got to take it down a steep mountain across the river.
Oatmeal and shit. Or some cream of wheat. That's hot cereal. Cream of wheat's good, oatmeal good. I eat that shit. I still eat box cereal. I ain't gonna lie, bro. My favorite shit is Golden Grams. I got some Golden Grams downstairs right now. I don't drink cow milk no more. I drink fucking almond milk. I still eat just regular cold cereal. Yeah, I gotta keep a box of Golden Grams, man. Sometimes I just fucking pull out a handful of them shits like a goddamn snack real quick. Just cereal. I love them shits, yo.
So it's really hard to understand also that, yeah?
So really nice little work there, and Rogerio is born and raised in Ollanta Tambo. He's doing this a long time. In fact, he's run around. Him and his friends have all, like, there's so many of these sites that all over the place, and we did get the chance to visit some of the, like the little cave site on a terrace hills top that really very few people get to go to. But he's making the same observation that I think you get to when you look at these places, which is, you know, there's such a different level of work and quality of work between the various types of architecture you see here.
Yes.
Yet, I mean, maybe Luke, you can tell us what the orthodox history is of Ollanta Tambo. As far as I know, it was attributed. I mean, if you look at their books, they'll tell you that not only did the Inca build it, but it was just one king who built it in his lifetime, right? I mean, you've looked into this more than I have.
Well, yeah, there are sort of conflicting histories. It's dated to the late 15th century, according to the history books. But some books say that Pachacuti raised it entirely, that it already existed, and he raised it entirely and then rebuilt it, for the nobles, sort of in the way that the Tambo Machai was supposedly for the nobles. But like all of these sites, they're never finished. The beautiful architecture is never finished. It's always filled in with the Incan sort of rubble style, loose stone, field stone sort of technique, and it doesn't really explain anything. There's another a book called Monuments of the Incas, which is actually really good book in some ways. It's got a lot of information on a lot of sites that not many people know about. But according to their research,
yo, I used to be on the Fruit Loops back in the day, but yo, the fucking Apple Jacks, them shits was good as fuck too, yo. The Apple Jacks, the goddamn Fruity Pebbles. God damn, I used to love some fucking Fruity Pebbles. Some peanut butter crunch. The classic, you can't fuck with no Frosted Flakes, yo. Like the real Frosted Flakes, man, you can't fuck with them shits. Them shits get you all that sugar. God damn, kids be hyping shit out the goddamn bowl of Frosted Flakes. They're great. Tell me. Right now. The Apple Jacks and the Honey Smacks. All that sugary goodness for breakfast. Hype your fucking kids the fuck up before they go to school so they can't pay attention. Give them all this sugar. Then I was a kid, I put sugar on my Frosted Flakes. What? Should be super sweet. The milk tastes like a goddamn milkshake. This shit tastes like a goddamn milkshake. Put so much sugar in that bitch. That's why I hate heating fries up in the microwave. Damn. Don't nothing really taste the same out in the microwave, yo. Not the second time around. Follow your nose. Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. Silly kids. Tricks are for prostitutes. Dip it in that barbecue. What? Let me see what time it is. What time is it? Shit, it ain't even 10:30 yet. I'm already eating barbecue chicken. I'm the fucking man. What y'all eating at 10:30? I bet it ain't barbecue chicken. You know? Yeah? Tell your mom about that. Tell your mom you seen your homeboy eating barbecue chicken at 10:30 in the morning. Delicious too. Second breakfast. Delicious. We had barbecue chicken for second breakfast. Yes. Alright guys. haven't asked anybody this in a while, you know, to do me a little favor, but we're getting so close. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. So, all of my hardcore viewers, if y'all on social media at all, yo, share my YouTube channel and tell your peoples to subscribe. They don't even gotta watch this show. They don't even have to tune in for one episode, but still subscribe anyway. So share the YouTube channel. Tell a couple people to subscribe, because we're at over 900 subscribers right now. And they're going to shut my channel down again. I just feel it coming. I know it's coming. But before they do, I want to have reached over 1,000 individuals. Let me see where I'm at now. I'm at 904 subscribers. I lost a few subscribers for some reason. Probably said something they didn't like. I love it. I lost 2 people since yesterday. I must have said something about white supremacy. That'll normally lose me some people. Yeah. So, as of right now, we need 96 subscribers. Damn, so close. We can do that shit for the end of the year. 96 people, that ain't shit. We done got this far. 904. I had like 5,000 subscribers on Ustream. Damn, I'm mad they fucked Ustream up, yo. Ustream was the shit.
You know, Pachacutec had defeated the tribe that lived there.
Right.
And they were the ones that built, you know, the megaliths, and then you know, the Incans just finished it off with their small stone technique. But that doesn't really make sense, because you see this type of technique up in Cusco with the Coricancha, and you see, you know, some of the stuff you know, elsewhere throughout Peru and Bolivia too, and in Machu Picchu you see some of this style stuff. So it kind of exists, and again, it's always the really special buildings that are central, that they always tell you are temples or for the nobles, but none of them are ever finished. And they all have been sort of built around, you know, by the Incan small field stones technique.
Yeah.
And in some cases emulated. They've done everything they can to emulate, you know, these wall styles, and some of it looks really good, but it's just not the same.
Yeah. That's right. And so let's get into those styles, and then we'll get into the video of Ollantaytambo and start identifying them. So we've been talking about Jesus Camara, we've been talking about Graham, and in fact, if you look at this little clip, this is actually all 3 of them together, filming.
Before we play, let me also just say, because he, you know, Rogerio was talking there about, you know, why they were, you know, that they weren't finished, or maybe they were older. And, you know, the history books, again, don't even agree. Some will tell you that it was the War of Succession between Huáscar and Atahualpa that forced them to stop building that. Other people say it was the Spanish conquest of Peru, or you know, the retreat of Manco Inca. This Ollantaytambo was the site of probably the most famous Incan victory over the Spaniards. They flooded the valley and absolutely kicked their ass, and the Spanish had to retreat before they lost everybody.
Yeah.
And then there was not a return match, so to speak, because Manco Inca took his forces further down and you know, avoided
That's right.
Another fight, and the Spanish did come down and take over the site.
Yeah,
but,
right. Which is why Machu Picchu is so nice, because they never found it and they didn't get a chance to really wreck it. Which they
right next to that megalith, there's a really interesting piece, which to me is obviously looks like a ceiling or a roof or almost like a half lid piece. It's huge, and they call that the platform with the carved seat, and it's clearly not a seat. But, you know, it's been put on top. That has been moved, I think, by the Inca. There's a variety of stones around the site. You'll see they're lying on small stones in various angles. I think the Incas were trying to move the stuff that they had found.
You're talking about up on the top of the Ollantaytambo? You're talking about the big rocks on the top?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We've got all that footage. We'll get into that. And what I want to do is let's just look at the architectural styles, and we'll identify those, so then we can call them out when we watch it. So just to show who is who here. There's Graham at the back of Graham's head. Brian Forrester is filming
in the blue cap.
In the blue cap, and then
and that's green cap is Jesus Gamarra.
This is in the green cap here, right? This is Jesus explaining. About probably one of the monoliths we were looking at the Hananpacha stuff around Sacsayhuaman. So again, we've made reference to his books and his videos. Let's take a quick look at those architectural styles in detail. So here's an example of, we will zoom to the image, that'd be better. So this is Ollantaytambo.
Something that everybody notices about these giant ass stones. These motherfuckers always got some knobs on them. Like, no matter where you go, yo, when them stones start weighing fucking 20, 30, 40 tons, the builders somehow inserted knobs or something on these shits to fucking move them or manipulate them or something. But it's like on every megalithic site, you see the same exact kind of construction. And these same little weird ass knobs on the rocks. I was thinking about going to the Giza Plateau for my first time leaving the U.S. I think I might try to go to Baalbek. Alright, that apple is destroyed, boy. Ate that bitch to the core. Damn. Now I need a goddamn toothpick. Now I need a goddamn toothpick, yeah. I just ate some food, like, yeah. Now I need a goddamn toothpick, yeah. I just ate some food, like, yeah. Now I need a goddamn toothpick. Yeah. Man, I'll make a song about needing a toothpick. Cause I got some apple skin in my teeth. I need a drug dealer. What? Yo, whatever label she signed to, them motherfuckers need to pay some kind of fines for that shit. How y'all put out a song? How y'all let this artist put out a song called "I Need a Drug Dealer"? I would listen to it to see how horrible it is, but I don't want to get her no views. I'm not getting my views.
Their research, Apache had defeated the tribe that lived there.
Right.
They were the ones that built, the megaliths, and then the Incans just finished it off with their small stone technique. But that doesn't really make sense because you see this type of technique that in Cusco, Machu, and you see this stuff.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, including Bolivia too, with Machu Picchu, you see some of this stuff. So it kind of exists, and again, it's always the really special buildings that are central. They always tell you are temples or for the nobles, but none of them are ever finished. Right? They've all been sort of built up by the Incan small fields with technique.
Yeah.
And in some cases of emulating, we've done everything we can to emulate these wall styles, but in some ways it's just not.
Yes, that's right. And so let's get into those styles, and then we'll get into the video Volante Tambo style identifying. So we've talked about Jesus Camara.
I still feel hungry. What the fuck, son?
If you look at this little clip, this
Feel like
is actually all three of them together.
A fat kid over this motherfucker.
Before we play, let me also say this.
I can't calm the beast. That shit still telling me eat something. Go get something else to eat. Something else like what, man? I just had some chicken and fries and an apple. You gotta wait.
Forced them to stop building out the retreat. This 22 combo was the site of probably the most famous.
Gotta wait for more food.
The Spaniards, they absolutely flooded the valley and absolutely kicked their ass. The Spanish had to retreat before they lost everybody. And then there was not a return to Minnesota because took his forces further down. Avoided.
That's right.
The fight, and the Spanish did come down and take over the site.
Yeah,
but,
right. Which is why Machu Picchu is so nice, because they never found it. They didn't get a chance to really wreck it. Which they
right next to that that megalith, there's a really interesting piece, which to me is obviously a ceiling or a roof or almost like a half-lid piece. It's huge, and they call that the platform the carved seat, and it's clearly not a seat. It's been put on top. That has been moved, I think, by the Inca. There's a variety of stones around the site. You'll see they're lying on small stones in various angles. I think the Inca were trying to move the stuff that they had found.
You're talking about up on the top of the Ollanta Tambo? You're talking about the big rocks on the top?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We've got all that footage. We'll get into that. And what I want to do is let's just look at the architectural styles, and we'll identify those, so then we can call them out when we watch it. So just to show who is who here. There's Graham at the back of Graham's head. Brian Forrester is filming
in the blue cap.
In the blue cap, and then
and that's the green cap is Jesus Gamarra.
This is in the green cap here, right? This is Jesus explaining about probably one of the monoliths we were looking at the Hananpacha stuff around Sacsayhuaman. So again, we've made reference to his books and his videos. Let's take a quick look at those architectural styles in detail. So here's an example of, we will zoom 15-ish, would be better. So this is Ollanta Tambo. You get a couple different things here. Actually, before we go into, let's do this.
This scoopy stone right here is what Jesus would refer to as Hananpacha, the old style. The old style of the Hananpacha, it's almost always one stone, one large stone,
living
with
rock.
These shapes and scoops and marks cut into it in various ways that they often like to say are Incan thrones or something.
Yeah, or quarries or things. But this is often distinguished. I like to call it monolithic. It's one piece, as you said, but it's also usually living rock. It's like bedrock, or it's mountains, or it's actually seems to be what's in place. Although not always. Sometimes it's huge boulders, like at Sacsayhuaman,
and it usually has a very obvious vitrification.
Yes. So it's
effect on
right, and it's definitely so in Jesus' theory, and I'd agree with this, because typically on this stuff the erosion always looks like it's way older than other stuff. The erosion is typically way worse on a lot of this stuff, which is the monolithic single piece stuff versus and separate from the cellular blocks of things like the wall at Sacsayhuaman. But you get all of these mixed in at a lot of these sites. One thing you can notice too, and this is really good examples of this even at Machu Picchu, particularly at Machu Picchu, of this culture. This is the Hananpacha, the upper world, or the oldest stuff. It's revered and venerated by the following architectural styles, because it's usually treated with the utmost respect. It's protected with walls, and if it's been built upon, it's done very, very carefully and sort of almost lovingly in the way that it embraces
it's left, it's not removed.
That's right.
It's definitely built around. It seems to be like the Holy of Holies. It's like the most interior space in a lot of these sort of constructions.
Temple of Karnak. This is an example of this. I think the stuff in the middle of the Coricancha looks like this. I think that even the rock, when they saw about the Temple Mound in Jerusalem, right, with that's supposedly and if you look at, that's what Jesus says in his documentaries, that's Hananpacha, because it's the rock. It looks similar to a lot of the stuff you see in Peru.
Right. So of course, isn't there some kind of rock in a Muslim that isn't like at Mecca when they walk in a circle around the thing? Isn't there some kind of black rock
stone or something? Yeah, I think he makes reference to it.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. So then you've got Hanan Pacha, then you've got the Uran Pacha, right? And this is the middle culture. This is the cellular stuff.
The cellular style, and it's the same stuff that you see at Sacsayhuaman, but it's the same stuff you see here, and also at the Kori Kancha. And you can't really, you can't separate any of that stuff. It's all the same culture.
Right, and it's
the same building techniques. And that's always around. These monoliths, these Hanan Pacha monoliths.
Well, there's two different styles. So this happens in some. It often when this style's been built, the Uran Pacha is it's the perfect megalithic stuff. It's the stuff that the walls that are fit so closely together, the walls of Sacsayhuaman. And in Peru, you see two different categories. In fact, if you watch our Brian Forster interview, he gets into the two categories of the Uran Pacha, which is there's the oblong and then no straight lines. I'm thinking of the walls at Sacsayhuaman and the Inca Roca wall in Cusco.
Cellular.
Really all over the place in terms of angles and cuts, but then you have another style of this where it's very straight lines. You almost see it here in some things, but you'll tip like the Kori Kancha.
It is deceptive.
Almost straight, but not quite. But two different styles.
It looks totally straight to your eye, like the Kori Kancha, but when you get up and look at it, you'll see that there's lips on the top of all the blocks that form little like shark fins. They're really small. And the block above is cut to fit that, but you almost don't notice.
And typically, no tool marks on this stuff. It's as if it's been just shaped and pushed in, and then it shares also the vitrification that you get with the Hanan Pacha. So that when we say vitrification, it's the same thing you see in a lot of cases in Egypt, certainly the same thing you see on the boxes in Egypt, where you have a shiny surface, like the granite, whatever the stone. It's always usually, again, these two styles. The other thing, well, particularly this style, the Uran Pacha, it's hard stone, it's one type of stone, and it's been brought usually from a long way away. It doesn't matter where it came from. It's whoever built it, they were determined to use the one type of stone. Didn't matter where it came from. That it was whatever reason they used it. And it's got that same sort of shiny, it reflects light. You actually see walls in Cusco where one side's this old megalithic and the other one is the Inca style, which is what we see on top of this. And one side reflects light with your torch, the other side doesn't, and that's vitrification. And same thing happens in Egypt with vitrification. It's how you identify a lot of this stuff. And the tool markings are typically much different. And then you have Ican Pacha, or bottom world, Ican Pacha, and that is, in Jesus's theory, that's your Incan work. And that is what you see on top here. And here's another example of Uran Pacha, which is these large, and these are the big stones on top, right? Some of these are 30, 40, 50, even in the front wall, tons.
Look at the side, look at that knob on that stone right down the left, and then think about that stuff we just looked at in the Yangshan
quarry
in
China, right? And then the Ican Pacha is the work that's in between. So all of this stuff that's piled up, loose stones again. This will be typically the Ican Pacha, the Incan work. Local stone. They pick it up where they found it. They use it. It's not precise. It's not. It's usually just laid there, and then the Spanish used concrete. The Incans didn't. But this is what you typically would call Incan work. Now, if we look at the whole site here, so here's an overview. Oops, sorry, overview of the whole site. So this is the main area. Right? It's a big hilltop that you walk up. On the right-hand side, these walls. This is all Ican Pacha. So this is all terracing, all work done by the Incan civilization, absolutely. Like this was done to probably rebuild this site after it was left in ruins from, I don't know, I wonder what could have happened back in the distant past that might have knocked all these megalithic things down. But you can see also that it's not the same quality as the row of stones along the bottom, and we'll get up to much more detail of this, the stuff that's at the top. Like the megalithic work at the top of this site is breathtaking, and it's supported by all this crappy work that's all around it. Not crappy, but definitely a different quality. It's this. I love this site because it's so the difference in craftsmanship and the different types of architecture here. Really, best examples are up on here, and the ridiculousness of attributing this to not only one civilization, but one lifetime of one king is just. It's a little hard to stomach once you see this sort of thing. I mean, it's clearly obvious that he who hauled and made these big blocks and these big stones wasn't this. I mean, why do you do this? And here's the wall at the top. This is the megalithic stuff. it's spectacular, but it's been repaired. I mean, the Incans found this site in ruin and they repaired it. Same as they did to Cusco, same as they did to most of these other sites.
They repaired it.
Here you go.
You know, it's best. And yes, this is the picture I've been waiting for. Look, they did a really good job.
It's great.
When you go out there today and find stones that fit together and try to make it work with no mortar and have it stand up for, it's good work, but it's not, it's not the Ulaanbaatar work. It's not it's not anywhere close to it.
And you can even see that the what probably is Ulaanbaatar on the right hand side here, where they built against it, which is the living rock. I mean, they were very respectful of the living rock. These stones were not like these have come from somewhere else. A lot of these the megalithic stuff comes from the stuff in the
Tambul,
middle.
Machai, Kukupakara, a lot of these sites have that that stuff where it's just built into the rock, even sometimes jutting out over great precipices, and they've built up this incredible structure on top of the bedrock. So it's amazing. So there are, that was a little bit of a crash.
So that's crash course in those three types. Now the
three types.
The architectural types. If we pay attention, you'll see them all over the place here. So I'll just get this rolling. I'll just let this roll.
And the Spanish complained when they were attacking this place, by the way, that they must have had a wall out here like they do now for defense. War was so small that the Spanish actually had to crawl through it. So you can imagine crawl through one by one, trying to attack this place with all the Incans up on the side. Must have been a really bad day to be Spanish.
Yeah, it does a hell of a hill if they're trying to fight up it. You'll see here also, if you ever go down to Peru, I highly recommend it, but there's all sorts of opportunities for commerce, as you'll notice.
Yeah, off to the right there, if you don't go straight up the Incan Terrace, I think Ben went back over there.
This footage of all that
was out of control. And really, at one point, I think you see me thinking about whether I should just throw him off the edge. But there's a lot of Ulaanbaatar stuff around the corner. A lot of these sites
we'll get down there.
A lot of great Ulaanbaatar stuff.
Yeah. So again,
you don't want around here.
You can see here clearly megalithic on the bottom, different quality of work to what's been reconstructed on the terracing above.
But again, look at the those alcoves there in the Incan style wall.
We'll get into that.
I mean, that is it's.
You can't see it like that, but on the screen is my tags. Because of the artist, tell them go to my Instagram and send me and tag me in something, or tag me in something on his Instagram, or tag him in something on my Instagram or Facebook or something like that, That's all I fucks with on social media. That's the only kind of people I like to meet. Artists, somebody doing something somewhere else, not where I'm at. What you doing over where you at? Your cousin hot, but he ain't fucking with me though. I just say that just because it's probably the truth. Just saying. I like fucking with artists, I actually had a photo shoot yesterday. That's why I'm about to close the stream down. I've been here almost 3 hours anyway. Yeah, that's what's up, bro. Yeah, I had a photo shoot yesterday. So for a while I've been working on a lot of photos that I haven't taken myself. My last 1, 2, 3 paintings I haven't photographed myself, and my next one is going to be 4, so that's 4 paintings in a row that I didn't photograph. But so finally I had a photo shoot yesterday so I can paint one of my own paintings. But I fuck with like the hottest photographers anyway. You know what I'm saying? I only get if I paint somebody else's photography, yo, you already know they the hot shit. So if it's mine or if it's not mine, the image is gonna be fucking cool and beautiful. But alright, so I started working on that background. The cafe is really, the background is really dim. It gives it like a nice, cool, chill setting. You know what I'm saying? You can tell it's probably daylight outside, but it's still just like kind of like dim in the cafe or whatever. You know, you got that bright ass sunlight shining in. So just working on filling in some of those lights in the ceiling. It's looking pretty good. But now I need to go grab my camera and get those pictures off of there. Find me something else to snack on. I feel like a fat kid today. Yo, that's what's up, yo. I sure appreciate it. Oh yeah, women, them dime pieces. Oh, you gonna pay for that? They just like I drive a Chevy Equinox. It's a good car, good American car. Yo, good on gas. Motherfucker don't look bad. It's stylish on the outside, on the inside. It's a pretty color. You know what I'm saying? Cheap American parts, easy to fix. You know, I could have me a Maserati or a fucking a Mercedes GLC or some shit like that. But them shits cost a lot for maintenance. Just imagine if the tail light go out. If you just gotta get new brakes and rotors on that bitch. You know what I'm saying? That's just like having a beautiful woman, a naturally beautiful woman, and them bitches is beautiful because they high maintenance. That shit two different things. You know what I'm saying? A woman can wake up out of bed and just no makeup, just wake up out the morning and still be pretty as hell, just her. But then you got them bitches that the eyebrows, the eyelashes, the waxing, the crimping, the perm, the hair, the color, the dye, the nails, the this, the that. It's like, god damn, bitch. If you wash all that shit off, man, you look like me. But you can tell, like, she naturally pretty. That's what I like, man. All the women I paint are natural beauties. I like that more natural look. Not that really, really, really high maintenance look. Yo, it's like, I can tell you cost too much for me. You know what I'm saying? And you probably got a stink attitude because you cost so much. You know, I can't deal with that. At the Hyundai. Them GMs and Chevys, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you can get a foreign car. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Tell them Marlo sent you. Marlo? How you know my cousin like that, boy? Yeah. Yeah, you get that, like one of my homeboys, this motherfucker got 2 BMWs and a Mercedes. But his insurance, his maintenance is ooh, and then his son wrecked one of the goddamn Jones. Right. I remember the one BMW needed a water pump or something. Bruh, he told me how much that shit be cost. I was like, goddamn, boy. I can't do it, man. That's why you can get a girl who got naturally pretty hands, and she probably just sit at home and file her nails and polish some shits. Or you can get one of them girls who gonna want a goddamn $200 manicure. Which one you want? your nails cost how much for to do what? And you get that shit done how often? Every other week. Bitch, that shit ain't gotta match your outfit. Is you cost too much. You cost too much for me, bitch. You cost too much. You cost too much. Ooh, no. I can't do it. The bitch had longer than mine. She went weave. If you don't straighten your goddamn hair out, bitch, what? I need to go buy a wig. A wig? A wig? Yo. Let me stop right now. You be in here woman bashing. And then all them high maintenance chicks with the weaves and the eyelashes gonna be like, fuck you, Trap. Motherfucker, I look good like this. You wash that shit off, you like a treasure trove. A treasure trove. Wash that shit off your face. Yeah, the way my account set up, I got miles to feed, bitch. All my kids need shoes. Man, you know how much school supplies cost, bitch? And you talking about some eyelashes. Get the fuck out of here. $80 for what? For what? Them shit's $40 per lash? Jesus Christ. Hashtag, you cost too much. I'm out, yo. Yo, hey, I sure appreciate everybody coming in the stream, man, chilling with me, checking me out while the progress on this portrait right here. If you are a new viewer to the stream, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. We well on our way to reaching 1,000 subscribers. We'll get it before the year out. Just had some good ass laughs just now. Yo, no offense to any woman. You know, it's all love over here every time. Ain't nothing but love, y'all. Yo, peace. Till next time.